Welcome. My name is Paul Werlin, and I'm here with Tara DeCristofaro, who is the Democratic candidate for Register of Probate. Thank you for participating today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. First, we will review the format of the interview. This is a live-to-tape interview. That means no edits once we begin. There was no pre-screening of the questions, and answers will be limited to 2 minutes each. We will start with a 1-minute opening statement from the candidate, and after the questions, we will conclude with a 1-minute closing statement. Ms. DeCristofaro, you have 1 minute for an opening statement.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tara DeCristofaro. I'm currently the Middlesex County Register of Probate. I am also a Democratic candidate for re-election, and I am asking for your vote on Tuesday, November 4th, so that I may continue some of the work that I've done over the past 6 years. When I first came into office, we had historic budget cuts, record low staffing, and quite a number of new implementations. During that time, I was able to sustain public service in as best of possible light, and I'd like to be able to continue that work now that there has been a slight lifting of the budget and the ability to hire people and make some changes to the way we do business. So on November 4th, I asked for your vote, and that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the questions. I'm sorry.
Tara's fine
a little
as well.
tongue-tied. Ms. DeCristofaro, boy, sorry about that.
It's okay.
You have up to 2 minutes to answer each question.
Okay.
Why are you running for re-election of Middlesex Register of Probate?
Well, I'm running for re-election because I really love my job. I love the calling to do work with families. I have been involved in the family court since I was in law school in New York. I worked for legal aid for the Brooklyn Family Court, and after that, when I came home to Massachusetts after obtaining my law degree and passing the bar, I worked for the Assistant District Attorney's Office. I worked as an Assistant District Attorney for Middlesex County, and I was exposed to child support cases, which brought me into the Probate and Family Court. I was then lucky enough to be appointed as a Deputy Administrative Register of Probate, and was able to work in the court system and take on some things like really gearing up and going into an individual calendar system where people used to come in and see different judges all the time for their cases, and unfortunately they could drag on. We went to an individual calendar system where you were assigned to a judge, and that was your judge from the start of your case to your case finished. We were able to clear up about 700 cases that were sitting in backlog for pretrial and trial dates during that period of time. I opened a family law information center which deals with domestic violence cases and also provides some guidance with paperwork for indigent litigants who don't have the money to afford an attorney. I have a lot of interesting projects on the way. We're looking at a Judicial Institute Center in Lowell. We're hoping to provide a registry presence because the county is so large. So there's so many things that are on my plate that I want to see fulfilled. So that's really why I'm running again.
Thank you very much. Second question is, how would you describe the role and responsibilities of the Middlesex Register of Probate, and how does this office and who is elected affect the lives of the residents of Massachusetts?
Well, the Register of Probate is technically the keeper of the record for the courthouse. So what it does is keep someone that keeps a separate record from the decisions that the judge enters, so that someone can come in and look at their case and be assured that someone other than the decision maker is the person that is, it's a constitutional office. It's historically based from colonial times when people used to come in, and then the judges used to go around and they appointed somebody as register or elected someone as register who would keep record of what the decisions were for land and things like that. Our court has grown so much as a court of probate and insolvency to taking on divorces, custodies, paternity cases, now guardianship cases of minors and incompetence. The register's job is really important because the flow of how the cases go in the court outside of the decision-making process really is reliant on how well the registry functions, and someone who understands the cases and understands the process being in the register seat is vital to having an effective case flow, which makes people's lives easier. Having someone come in, whether you can help them in the way that they want you to, which oftentimes as non-lawyers and as just the record keeper and the filing clerks, they're unable to give legal advice and things like that. But helping someone understand the process is vital to them during such a tumultuous time in their life, where they're going through a divorce or someone has just passed away. So I think the role of the register is vital in assisting them through these difficult times by just giving them peace of mind that they understand what's going to happen and they know that their paperwork will be where it's supposed to be.
Thank you for explaining that. Next question is, in 2009, John Bonomo, a former register of probate for Middlesex County, was imprisoned for stealing over $100,000 in taxpayer money and campaign funds. In addition, in February 2014, Suffolk Probate Registrar Campitelli paid $10,000 to resolve charges she violated state campaign finance rules, including one barring the use of campaign money for personal expenses. Is there something inherent in the system surrounding the registrar of probate that create fertile conditions for such illegal behaviors, or are these isolated examples of illegal behavior based on individual choices?
Yeah, I mean, I think that those are two really, really unfortunate cases. I do think, however, that you can go to any profession and pull out these individual cases. You know, there's 14 counties and there are 13 really great registers. And we had unfortunate incidents in both those cases, and they're very close together. So I can understand why people have this idea that it's this job. I do, however, believe that in any profession you'll find people that do wrong things, make bad decisions. You know, the goal is to have transparency, have people be able to look at what you're doing and have results if someone does violate the law or make these choices that are unethical, that there are results that the public can feel comfortable with, that there's a resolution, that whoever has made the mistake or has done the wrong deed is has paid their price, and is, whether it's being removed from office or whether it's being suspended or whatever the case may be. I don't believe it's inherent in this office. I mean, I've been sitting in this seat for 6 years now, and I hope to sit there another 6 years, and I know registers who have sat there for 2 or 3 terms and are doing excellent jobs. So no, it's not inherent in the office. And someone had asked me when I first, when I ran in 2008, you know, what could guarantee that I would be ethical? And there is no guarantee. You can just have it through experience. You have to put your trust in somebody to do the job. And, you know, in time will tell. And, you know, that's kind of how I see it.
Thank you. Next question is, please tell us what you think the current Middlesex registrar has been able to accomplish during your time, during your tenure, and why should the voters return you to office?
Well, when I came in January of 2009, right at the time that we were going on to the Mass Court's web-based system for our record keeping. During that time, now the whole trial court, the Superior Court, has just gone online on the same program. So right now the trial court is all on the same web-based program, where now information sharing that people, I believe, think should already have been happening is now, you know, in the works to be happening. We made changes to policies for record keeping that I have been able to be a part of, as I was on the implementation committee for the Mass Courts program. I am also on the procedures, or was on the procedures committee for the implementation of the Uniform Probate Code, which was a drastic change in the way we process our probate and estate cases, as well as massive changes to our guardianship and conservatorship cases. That all came in my first 3 years as register. I also was part of the strategic leadership team, which has taken on the role of making sure that changes come about based on a survey that was done with litigants, practitioners, and staff to make better changes to make changes to the court that would better the way we do business in our processes. So I've done a lot while I've been there during very difficult financial times, budgetary times, and staffing times for the court. And there's plenty more to go. I mean, we're right now have gotten a budget to renovate our second floor registry, which hasn't been touched in about 20 years. So in order to try to increase our efficiencies in the way we process and handle people that come in. So I think I've done a good job so far and would love to continue.
Thank you very much. What are the biggest issues facing the Middlesex probate court, in your opinion, and what policy priorities would you support to address them?
Well, I think our biggest problem is our volume. We are the largest county in the state. Our probate and family court is the busiest in the state. In fact, it's one of the busiest in the country. We take in 27,000 filings a year, 6,500 probate cases, 5,800 divorce, domestic relations cases, 2,500 paternity cases, and we have a staff of about 60 people in the registry processing all of that paperwork. The county itself is very large in area, and the central location is in Cambridge. I think one of the policies moving forward is to put a registry presence in the northern part of the county so that people from the west and northern cities and towns will have another avenue to file and have their cases heard. And that's already in the works for the Judicial Institute that's going to be in Lowell. So I would say our size is our biggest issue, and the storage of our files. We are a court of permanent records, so anything that comes in, we are required to keep the original as well as a backup copy. We now take up a huge space in our storage facilities over in Worcester County. We've moved them off-site. We've also have paperwork in archives that are historical papers. So being a court of permanent record, finding spots for all of that paper, is difficult. I am part of the Record Retention Committee looking at Rule 111 as it pertains to, modernizing the way the court retains its paperwork. Probate and family court will still be a court of record, but as a policy, I'd like to see us move forward and be able to take in electronic filings, which the court is already moving to with some pilot programs, not in probate family court as of yet, but in the future. But those are two big ones.
Okay, thank you very much. Based on the Massachusetts Constitution, the Register of Probate is an elected position. Do you think it should continue to be an elected position, or what are the pros and cons to either it being an elected or an appointed position, in your opinion?
Yeah, I believe it should be an elected position. I mean, being an elected year, I love that it's elected. It's independent. We respond. I think everyone in the court does try to respond to the public, but I think being elected, our mandate is a little bit different. It's a little bit closer. We have to respond to the public's needs. So I do like that it's elected. Being an election year, it's a little bit uncomfortable having to wait till November 5th to see if you're still going to be there in January. But the pros are that the people really make the choice, and they get to say, this is my person that's in the courthouse responding to me, and me alone. And they can't close their door, and they can't pretend I don't exist. I understand the cons are potentially you could get someone whose interest in the court is not as strong as mine, and who doesn't have a professional capacity within the court or knowledge of the court workings. So I think that's the con. I almost sometimes wish there were criteria to running almost, but yeah, as an elected position, I think it's important to have one that is individual in that court system. I do.
Thank you. Next question is, what is the current state of the information, and you alluded to this a little bit before, what is the current state of the information technology at the Middlesex office of the Registrar of Probate? Is it sufficient, efficient, and effective? And if elected, would information technology improvement be a priority of yours? And if it is, if so, how would you fund these changes?
So I think, the biggest misconception now is that the courts themselves run on a line item budget as they used to. They don't. The budget has been centralized into the trial court. And another misconception is that we have our own record keeping module. We don't. It is mass courts run out of the office of the trial court across the county. And across district, probate and family, juvenile, you name it, they are all now on mass courts. I think there's a few more superior courts that need to get on. But information technology when I first started was just a computer system. It's now, we have scanned documents, almost 1 million in Middlesex County alone. We have made estate and probate cases, administration cases available on the internet at masscourts.org, where you can access the docket sheet for estates and administration cases. That being said, there's a lot of, although they're public, there's a lot of private, personal, and sometimes unedited information in separation agreements or in custody arrangements regarding children, where the release of the information to remote access by images on the domestic side is something that's a little sticky with the number of registers, and I have some issues with releasing them back. But I think, you know, we're moving towards the docket sheets being available for every case type, with the exception of, let's say, adoptions that are impounded by rule, or any other case that's impounded by rule or court action. And I would think that those are coming in the next couple of years. I mean, there's a public information technology committee already present, so I believe that's coming, the docket sheet, very soon.
Thank you very much. Please give us one example of an issue that you and your opponent agree on, and 2 examples of issues in which you differ, and why your positions represent the interests of Middlesex County.
Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. I've never met Mr. Lambert, so I'm not sure where he stands on any of the issues. I didn't know I was willing to debate, but was unable to effectuate a debate, so I can't answer that question, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. What strategies would you use for working with members of other parties and with others of opposing views? What experience do you have implementing these strategies?
Well, I think this seat is not a policy-making seat like your senator is or your representative. So I think working across party lines is probably the easiest in this seat of any seat, because really it's, you know, it's a political seat, but not a politician seat, really. It's elected, I should say, but not a political seat. So I have never asked anyone what party they were affiliated with when they've given me recommendations or made suggestions about different ways to run the registry or to better the registry. In fact, I put, you know, upon some issues people were having with the filings of our informal probates. I put together an informal probate session every Tuesday where I sit as the clerk magistrate, and I'm able to approve or deny or allow people to go and take care of what they have to take care of to have a complete filing, to come back to be appointed public personal representative over estates. So that was a change I made due to some issues people were having with the process. And never once have I asked what their party was, so it's never really been an issue to me. If it can make the place run better, and it falls within the parameters of what I'm allowed to do and the rules, then you know, I'd certainly take any suggestions and work with anybody of any party.
Great, thank you very much. Ms. DeCristofaro, you now have 1 minute for a closing statement.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank you for having me here today and taking the time to listen to my interview. Again, I am running for Middlesex County Register of Probate, and I ask for your vote on November 4th. I believe I have done a superior job over the last 6 years in running the registry and making it one of the better run registries in the state. I would like to continue to do that and to continue to make the changes and continue to complete the projects that are already underway. So again, I ask for your vote and thank you for your time.
We'd like to thank Ms. DeCristofaro for participating in our conversation today. Please make sure to make your voice heard by voting on the state election on November 4th of this year, on Tuesday, November 4th. For Arlington Public News, this is Paul Werlin. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.